£100,000. Clubs were asked to sell tickets to their members and also to commit to selling tickets at the Bonnecord Centre towards the end of the year. At this point, 3 clubs pulled out completely, but we were delighted to welcome Ithen Valley. This meant that 23 clubs agreed to support the raffle, and most of these initially agreed to attend the Bonnecord Centre as well. As COVID continued to take over our lives, 6 of these clubs ultimately decided not to assist with the Bonnecord Centre sales. As restrictions continued, and always under the shadow of them tightening, extensive planning regarding Bonnecord Centre sales took place, with a focus on keeping our members and the public safe. To achieve this, we agreed to relocate our sales desks to the upper mall, where the position could guarantee that the public could only approach from the front. Full health and safety and COVID safety risk assessments were prepared and agreed with the Bonnecord Centre. Perspex screens and sanitising materials were provided, and a reduced attendance at the centre agreed. However, once sales started at Bonnecord Centre, it quickly became clear that our position, although safe, was not conducive to good sales figures. Despite this, it was not possible, because of a one-way system and social distancing requirements, to relocate to the ground floor. We were not helped by the drop in footfall. Bonnecord Centre advised that this was 40% down from the previous year. Sales possibly also suffered because the contactless card machine, which we had ordered in what we had been advised was ample time, did not arrive. In fact, we don't have it yet. ANERCLOTS is an unusual setup, and ticking the right boxes can prove difficult. We are, however, still hopeful. We were at the stage of considering whether the low sales merited our continued attendance when restrictions changed, and we took the decision to cancel further official attendance at the Bonnecord Centre from 19th December. Some Rotarians continued to help Charlie House sell tickets from outside their Christmas market, which was located in an empty shop on the ground floor of the centre. More tickets were sold each day in that location than had been sold on the upper floor. Despite all these challenges, I'm pleased to confirm that we have 3 delighted local prize winners. As Stuart, our treasurer, will tell you, we raised more than £20,000, but after some small expenses and the retention of a small amount to start us off this year, we were able to give a cheque to Charlie House for £20,000. They are absolutely delighted. Thanks are due to many people. Our own members who sold more than £12,000 of tickets, a fantastic effort in such difficult times. Please make sure that your members are aware of how grateful Charlie House are. Charlie House themselves, who worked so well in partnership with us and sold more than 7,000 tickets, a vast improvement on the previous headline charity. Bonnecord Centre management and staff, who did their best to accommodate us and our safety requirements, and also sourced the first prize. Alistair West of my own Rotary Club, who helped me with my IT inadequacy. Jim Young of St Macher, who prepared such an excellent health and safety report, one of the best ever seen by district. Then not least, our chairman, Alan, who really does a mountain of work behind the scenes. I truly believe that the success of this annual event is due in no small part to Alan's efforts. And Stuart, our treasurer, whose patient and detailed guidance Alan and I could not do without. Our committee, Jim Hatter, Mike Craig, Helen Smith and Dave Dunn are also invaluable. This year, Ernie Forbes has decided to hang up boots, although we hope he will continue to help with any future car that we raffle. We thank him sincerely for his support over the years. I can also confirm that we are well ahead of ourselves this year, and all compliance documentation has already been lodged with the Gambling Commission. Now, later on the agenda, you'll see that there's a reference to 2021, and I'll just give you a little heads up on that now so you've got a few minutes to think about it. Subject to agreement today that clubs are happy to continue with the existing format, We will again be partnering with Charlie House, who remain the Bonnicord Centre nominated charity this year. We had a Zoom meeting with Charlie House and Bonnicord Centre last week and discussed various scenarios, as clearly the position later this year is still very unclear. Charlie House are going to explore the purchase of a car, but certainly can't commit to its purchase until there is more clarity. In the first place, we need to know if clubs will be prepared to take an allocation of tickets again this year. A car without sponsorship costs approximately £15,000. So if clubs can sell as well as last year, that would almost cover the cost. Bonnicord Centre have suggested that they may hold more events so that Bonnicord Centre sales can take place over a longer period. In addition, this year clubs did not receive a percentage of sales for their own local charities, usually about a third, nor did they receive what we call an attendance fee for actually selling tickets at the Bonnicord Centre. Are clubs prepared to continue on this basis this year? It would be helpful if you could give us feedback on both these points. If not today, then certainly by the end of February. I appreciate that you might want to discuss this with your members before getting back to us. In closing, I would add that especially in difficult times, we should try to focus not on what we can't achieve, but on what we have and can do again. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Any questions of Denise? No.
No. Okay. Well, can I carry on with my bit, Alistair?
Oh yes, certainly, Alan. Yeah.
Just follow my mini agenda, and we have Stuart, our treasurer, who's going to give a wee report now, and then we can have a wee combined chatter later on.
Thank you. Afternoon, everyone. This is the 20th year of the Rotary running an annual raffle. It started in the year 2000, at the time when all the clubs got together to run a number of events for the Archie campaign that was being run that year. And over 3 years, the campaign received £100,000 of donation from Rotary at the time. Not all raffle, obviously. As we moved on, this year, as mentioned, the total sales were 21,129, which is approximately 50% of last year's. But given the restrictions that have been in place due to COVID-19, it was a surprisingly good result. And at the outset, we had hoped that we would hopefully make 20,000, and that's how it turned out. This year, as already mentioned, the decision was not to purchase a car, and as all the prizes were donated, thanks to the effort of the Bonnicord Centre and the Charlie House team, there are no expenses for prizes. This year's surplus is after payment of the usual gambling commission fees, which amount to 348, and the printing of tickets at 770. So the final result was a surplus of £20,010.60 compared to last year's 28,297. As was agreed at the planning stage of this year's raffle, there was to be no distribution of surplus to Rotary clubs. The committee therefore agreed that £20,000 should be donated to Charlie House. Over the 20 years of the raffle, the total available distribution to Rotary Club and to the nominated charities was £662,431. And during that time, Rotary clubs have received for their own charity uses £240,127. Obviously, if there had been a distribution to Rotary clubs this year, the chances are that we would have had £250,000 over the 20 years to Rotary club charities. The ANERCLOTS account bank balance to be carried forward into next year is just under £1,900, 189,455 for those that want to know it. And that'll be used next year to cover the usual gambling commission fees, the cost of raffle tickets, and the costs of the card terminal if it ever arrives. We are still working hard towards getting this, but we are consistently getting additional questions, and Alan no doubt will make comment about that later. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
So if anybody's got any questions, if you could raise your hand through the participants. If you click on participants and press raise hand, I'll be able to see it. With 35 on, that's a kind of struggle to see if somebody just waves at me. Then Stuart, you're getting off light. Nobody's raised their hand.
Very good, thank you.
Alan? Muted. Alan? You're muted, Alan, sorry.
I've been shut up, but I'm back again. Right, so you can't keep a good man down, Alistair. Keep your fingers off my button. Right, yeah, we'll, as I said at the beginning, we're going to be as quick as we can because obviously there's other bits to this meeting. But as you will all see, it's been a pretty good year considering all the restrictions we worked under. And I know from speaking with Charlie House, and Denise and Stuart were involved too, they are absolutely chuffed to get a lump sum of £20,000 at this time. So they did really well. Very much praise them for what they did as well, and we look forward to, hopefully with your approval, working with them next year, or this year should I say, as well. We have a couple of other mundane matters to do.
Alan,
Yeah.
Alan,
Hello.
need to get the accounts approved. Need to
Oh yeah. Well, I was kind of coming to that, but that's my boss who keeps me right. Right. Can I have a show of hands that we're all happy with Stuart's work and that the accounts are okay? There we go. Got them. Approved. Anybody in particular? I'll just pluck names and pop them in the minutes. Right. So we have to elect our 3 main office bearers. I've been doing this job now for the 10 years, and it's high time somebody else came forward. But to allow that to happen, I'm prepared to do it for another year if everybody is happy with that. So I suppose, does anybody want to vote against me or anything? Go on, go for it. I'll shut my eyes. Is that taken as read? Okay. And promoter Denise is happy to carry on for another year. Are we all happy with Denise? Definitely. Yeah. And Stuart is happy to carry on as treasurer as well. Are we all okay with that? Great. Thanks, John. You're right in the middle of me, so you'll be the the main man. Perfect. As Denise mentioned, we have a very valuable subcommittee that helped the 3 of us throughout the year, and Ernie Forbes has been part of that for many years as well. In fact, probably since it started, I think. But he's decided it's time to take a rest, and it gives us an opportunity to take on at least 1 more member. We won't restrict it if we have a rush of hands of people wanting to join our subcommittee. There's a definite 1 space, but we can more than accommodate a couple, 2 or 3, even if anybody around is willing to stick their hand in the air and be nominated, that would be grand. And I know Denise was approaching one or two other clubs, outlying clubs as well. I don't know, did you get anywhere, Denise? No? Oh dear. Nobody want to join us, Jolly Munch?
What a happy band.
We are
Hey,
very,
I'll go for it, darling.
oh, really?
Yeah,
O'Reilly.
give
Oh
it a try.
dear. Oh God, we've spoken out of turn again.
Why, you're not one to...
You're more than welcome. Delighted to have you on board. That'll be great.
There's a hand up as well. Margaret Curry, is it?
Oh, Margaret from West Hill, is it? West Hill, Margaret?
Yes, I'm willing to help out if I can.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Excellent.
Great.
You're going to be
Perfect.
overtaken by the women, Alan.
That's okay. I don't mind. I'll cope. I know my place. Dave and I will be quiet, won't we? Right. Anybody, is that all the volunteers we're going to have? That'll be fine. I have to say to Sheena and Margaret, it's not a hugely onerous task. There are a few meetings, and in the busy part is the run up to the draw, really from mid-November through till December. That's the busy time, counting tickets and checking tickets and doing that sort of stuff. But on
With a
behalf
cup of coffee or a glass of wine.
oh, yes, it's generally home-based. Depending whose house we go to, you get a wine or you get coffee. So anyway, very grateful to the two of you. We will move on with that, and we'll be in touch with regards to any meetings or chit chats that we have. Right, plans for 2021. Denise very briefly touched on it already. We have had this debrief meeting, which we always have with the Barnacle Centre and the charity, and everybody was happy with how it went last year. We did express the views, I think, of most Rotarians that we were a little bit unhappy with where we were dumped upstairs in the Barnacle Centre, but there were reasons for that, obviously, this year with the keep left signs and whatnot downstairs in the Barnacle Centre. The idea will be that we are back downstairs again next year, but we can only wait and see how this pandemic spins out over the rest of the year. It will be, as Denise said, for Charlie House, and we're delighted to be working with them again. Has anybody got any comments to make, or any tuppence worth about the what went on last year and what we should take on board for this year? Anybody wanting to say anything? Ken, can you see anybody?
Not seeing anybody. Nobody's raised their hand through the participants, and I've just flicked across all the screen. So you're good to go.
Good to go. All right.
John Glasgow kind of waved a little bit.
Yeah, I was just going to congratulate you on doing a very good job in difficult times, and I think we should all give you a round of applause.
Well, that's Denise, Stewart as well, and all the committee. They all deserve it. So we're good to go for 2021, I take it, and obviously you'll need a little bit of time to chat to your teams about the money situation as to whether or not we as clubs don't take a little skin off the top, as it were. Not saying it won't happen. There may well be the opportunity to do that this year if we have a car as well. But that's probably a decision for a little bit down the line, and we'll see how that goes in due course. Okay. I'm feeling awful good about myself this year and the rest, because we've got all these reports into the Gambling Commission already. They're not meant to be in until early March, but we're all sat down, done, dusted, and in fact we've donated our £50 annual donation to Gamble Aware, and I actually got acknowledgement of that this very morning. So everything to do with 2020 is now finished. So I thank you all for your help. Dorothy, I think Dorothy wants to speak. Is that right, Ken?
Yes, Alan, I've just had a phone call from Jim Hatter. He says he didn't get your link, so he puts in his apologies for not attending today.
He got the message then.
Must have done along the line somewhere.
Well, I assumed that the AG would have passed it on to his fellow AG. I worked on that assumption, so sorry about that. I'll apologise to Jim direct.
All right.
On my part. Okay, thanks, Dorothy.
Okay.
Right. Denise, do you want to say anything else at this juncture? Have I missed anything? You're speaking to yourself, Denise.
No, I'm suffering from dreadful cramp in my left leg, so I'm not really on board at the moment. So no, I have nothing to say. I'm going to walk.
All right. Okay, and Stuart, have you anything just before we wind our bit up? No. Okay, well, thanks everybody for listening. Hope we haven't bored you. We've done the needful as far as ANERCLOTS is concerned, and it's over to Alistair for the rest of the meeting.
Alistair, you're muted.
Oh,
Alistair,
sorry. Hear me now? You know what?
Yeah, got you.
That's fine. Sorry, it's thank you, Alan and Stuart and Denise. It's a necessary part of the meeting. Now, what I want to do now is to hand over to Martin and Ian to discuss the e-clubs, which is the main part of today's meeting, because I think a lot of us are quite interested in e-clubs and how we can benefit from them here in Area 4. So can I hand over to you, Martin and Ian?
Yes.
Because I think there's a lot of things we would like to know about it and the mechanics of it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Martin and I decided because my club is in District 1010, I would start. So rather than being the warm-up act, then I'll be the warm-up act for Martin, perhaps. Alistair fortunately sent me a few questions or a few bullet points, which is quite good because that will kind of focus me rather than me wandering and rambling about a bit. Most of you, or many of you, will know that I was a member of Aberdeen St Fittick Club, moved away from Stonehaven, moved down to Fife in 2015, 6 years ago now, and really just too far for a weekly meeting, hour and a half plus drive. Sheena, much as I love you, darling, you know I'd come for you. I first thought about setting up an e-club back in 2010. I heard about it. One of my big involvements with Rotary is that I'm with the International Fellowship of Flying Rotarians. So there's 1,000 plus of us internationally, and I've been in that for 27 years. So most of the time I have been in Rotary and love the international angle. So 2010, heard about e-clubs, I thought that intrigues me. But then when I found out you can only be at that time, could only be a member of one club, then that really kind of knocked it on the head. I didn't want to leave St Fittick to set up an e-club. So 2015, I've moved down to Newport and Tay and Fife. What am I going to do? And I thought, well, I could join a local club, visited a few local clubs, but this was my opportunity to set up an e-club. Could I just interject? Is my volume right? Am I too loud for anybody, or is everything okay? Fine. Yeah, Vicar. So how did I go about setting up one? Well, in fact, the paperwork is exactly the same as for setting up any club. But when I was asked the question in the form, what is the population base of the area that you're setting up an e-club? Setting up a club, I put the answer 7 billion because it was a completely international club. it was determined to be that. So how did you target membership and get members? So paperwork wise, exactly the same as for any club, although at that time DGs were a little bit sort of a big balloon with a question mark came up above the heads as soon as you talked about e-club. But paperwork wise, it wasn't anything complicated. We could actually have set up in any district, but because I have been in District 1010 all the time, I've been in Rotary, and because that's where I live, then we decided to stick with District 1010. So how did I target membership and get members? Well, I actually had a big advantage. I was the World Secretary of the International Fellowship of Flying Rotarians. Now, one of the rules at that time of a fellowship was that you had to be a Rotary member. And looking through the database, I could see quite a few names without a Rotary club against the name. So I thought, well, here we go, we can normalise people's membership. So of our membership now, which is 38, approximately 25% come into that category. There were people who were not in Rotary. In fact, now it wouldn't matter, because most of you may be aware that fellowships now are, according to Rotary rules, are permitting membership of a fellowship to anybody. You don't have to be a Rotarian. I fervently disagree with it, simply because it's been a great recruiting tool to get people into Rotary. So I think letting anybody into a Rotary fellowship is a little bit of a slippery slope, to be honest. Don't agree with it, but that's my view. That's my view. I've taken it up with an RI director. If there's any questions at any stage, by the way, shoot your hand up and fire away. I don't know if most of you know that you can temporarily set your switch on your microphone by pressing and holding your space bar. I suspect a lot of you will know that. You don't have to unmute. You can just press and hold your space bar. As we say in aircraft, it's like press to transmit. So that was the target membership. Now, when we actually started, we were getting quite a few people approaching us with some interest. Oh, I'm in the Rotary Club of such and such, but this sounds interesting. We did not recruit one member from an existing Rotary Club. We did not go poaching at all. Instead, we actually set up a different category of affiliate membership. Now, I think I'm right in saying that people now can join more than one Rotary Club. I'm looking fervently. Okay, well, okay, I kind of looked online about that before, Martin, and I thought you could, but anyway, we overcame it by having an affiliate member category. So if anyone was interested and they thought they'd be interested in the kind of talks we have, then they could join us as an affiliate member, thereby pay us a membership fee, which instead of any of it going to district or RI, just goes straight into our charity fund. So we benefit by about £1,000 a year from that. As a matter of interest, our dues, and I always remember at St Fittick, there was a particular treasurer, my goodness me, oh, he was determined that fees would not exceed £100. We actually charge members £150 a year. And we are the top club, very proud of it, for per capita foundation giving. But we actually made it part of our constitution that members would give a minimum of £150, so roughly $200 to foundation. And we are the top club in 1010 per capita. We don't insist on that, by the way, from affiliate members, because we assume that they've already got involved with foundation in their existing club. The next bullet point, Alistair gave me, what's the age range and gender balance of your club? Well, we do not have any women. We strictly only kidding, Sheena, only kidding. It was me that pushed for women into St Fittick. No, clearly it's open to everybody. We actually, of our 38 members, we've actually only got 4 ladies. None have left, but we don't turn anybody away. We actually don't advertise for members, because that was the next question: is how do you publicise it? Members tend to find us through existing members, and as I say, we're a membership of 38 and 5 affiliate members. So the age range and gender balance I've mentioned. The age range, I actually calculated the other day, our average age of our entire membership is 56. And I think most would agree that in Rotary terms, that's kind of on the low side. We have actually got 10 members under 50. We've got some members in the 30s and 40s. But the age range is from 32, oldest member is 81 this year. So as in any Rotary club, it will tend to attract a slightly older audience, but I think 56 is pretty good. Do we use Zoom, Teams or WebEx? I attended a meeting with Teams the other day and I just thought it was the pits. I mean, you can only get 9 faces on the screen. If you've got a sufficiently highly tuned computer, you can get up to 47 people on a screen in Zoom, whereas typically it's 25. But if you've got, I think it's a Intel i7 chip or something, then it can go up to 47. Mind, it must be about the size of a postage stamp by the time you're getting to that size. I'm just going to pause. Is there any questions as to what I've said so far? Or shall I just continue sort of going through the list? I'm not seeing any hands raised. I haven't gone on to page 2 to see if anyone's waving furiously at me. So I shall. No. I shall continue. So very, very lucky, Martin, and I should properly introduce Martin from my perspective. His club at the time was called the Rotary E-Club of East Anglia. Subsequently, they've changed to the Rotary E-Club of Innovation. They, I think, initially had a larger pool of people from geographically from East Anglia, but have become more international as they've gone on. In terms of representation in our club, by the way, we've got members in 12 different countries. We did have a member in Japan, but fortunately he's moved to Germany because that was awfully early in the morning that he had to get up. It was a sort of a 5 o'clock in the morning shot for him to come and participate in a meeting. Anyway, Martin had used GoToMeeting, but then moved to Zoom. We just started straight away with Zoom and loved it. The nonsense that is talked about Zoom not being secure, well, it really is nonsense. We actually used to use the same meeting link for every single meeting. However, an amusing little aside is that someone got wind of one of our meetings and the world president of the Flying Fellowship said to his secretary, oh, we should let a few members know about this meeting. And he sent a member to 1,000 people saying this. This meeting's on. Well, that was a problem because we might have had our own people being frozen out, and it was during the lockdown, so people were starved of Rotary. So I think we could well have had well more than 100 members. So at that time, we actually changed it to make it a unique link for every meeting. But I think the only problem people have ever had with security with Zoom is when they've gone onto Facebook saying our AGM is 3 weeks' time, and this is the link. Well, you know, you're going to get a bunch of heed the balls coming on when you do things like that. Social media platforms, Martin is way better than we are at social media. We've got a new member who's actually principal of a university in Oslo, who is a social media expert. He's taken over the Facebook side. I've just seen a hand raised, and it's Sheena. Did you mean to raise your hand, Sheena? Are you asking a question or did you press the wrong button?
You didn't mention how often you meet, did you?
No, not yet.
All right,
not
okay.
Yet. I will, honestly.
Okay.
Well, I'll jump the gun and I'll tell you now. We did meet once a week, but when I was initially president, and I enjoyed that task, by the way, from 2015 till 2018, we chartered in August 16. Members of my club thought I should have a full Rotary year, which was 17-18. Therefore, I had the mantle from 15 to 18, and nobody would ever volunteer to be the speaker convener. Finding a speaker every week, gracious, you know, we've banned boring speakers, and that ban's been fairly solid. The occasional one sneaks through, but no. But seriously, we looked at Rotary rules, and every 2 weeks satisfies Rotary rules. So we meet on the 1st and 3rd Wednesday of every month. Martin has his hand raised.
Yeah, I just want to answer the same question. In actual fact, we don't meet at all unless we want to. So we don't have a meeting as such. And if we've got time at the end, I can actually go through how we do our Rotary in terms of satisfying the rules. Yep. But we have a speaker, and we do have a speaker every week. And that is often seen as as our meeting, but we don't officially have a meeting day and time at all. We just do our Rotary 24/7, 365. So, and that's how we differ in some ways. So I'll come back to that at the end, but I thought it was appropriate to say that there.
Yep. Thanks, Martin. So social media, where you know, some of our members are a bit anti Facebook and the likes, but I simply see Facebook as being a window to the world. It's another opportunity, and I think for fundraising, then to spread your message is no bad thing. But even our website is chronic, and I'm actually speaking to Martin about helping us to get it improved. We use the RIBI template, but dearie me, not entirely happy with it. Do we have difficulty in attracting members on an ongoing basis? Well, no. I mean, in terms of our meetings, generally, we have about 30 people, so probably approximately 75% attendance, which I think perhaps in Rotary terms is on the higher side of average, and that's excluding. We don't do things like apologies. I've always found that on a very anachronistic side of Rotary. When I was president, I would say any apologies, or when I was secretary, and someone would stick that, oh, so and so is apologising. Well, he wasn't really. He was only saying the guy was apologising because he wasn't there. I just found it slightly bonkers. So we don't do such things. So we don't have a problem attracting members. People tend to find us. I've told you how often we meet online. Sheena, you jump my gun on that one. That's every twice a month. Suggestions about fundraising. Well, there's an interesting one now. I'm going to combine that with the next question. What local, national, international service does your e-club get involved in? It's pretty difficult to get involved in local. I mean, in Scotland, I've got 5 members throughout Scotland between Inverness and Auchterarder. So our club members' involvement with the local is that every member is encouraged to make themselves known to local Rotary clubs, that they are gun for hire, you know, that they're available to help out. Please let me know if anything's doing. But so our focus is on international. The sort of things that we have done, we've supported Mission Aviation Fellowship a lot. It's no fluke that it's to do with aviation. I'm now just going to do what I often do in meetings, just fly off at a tangent. We're all interested in aviation in our club. That's a sort of an underlying thread. But we have got all as big a range of occupations as you would have in amongst any club's members. We've got people in property, in sales. We do have a retired airline pilot, and we've got someone who's a current commercial pilot. But it's an interest in aviation, and we do have quite a number who are private pilots. So definitely there is a common thread there. And I think that it's not just so uncommon. There is an e-club of motorcyclists and several and a number of other shared interests, but we're not all same occupation.
There's an e-club of metalheads as well.
Well, it definitely takes all sorts, doesn't it? So what international service do we do? Well, we've supported Mission Aviation Fellowship a lot. We supplied them with a very Mission Aviation Fellowship you may have heard of. They are a charity that supplies travel capability in third world countries. I suppose that's a way to put it. They are a Christian-based organisation, but they principally will go into places that would be very difficult or virtually impossible to get to by road, and they for medical assistance. They will also take missionaries. They'll make a little bit of money by selling tickets very reasonably to members of NGOs. So we supported them. Funnily enough, in Australia, might sound a little bit curious because that's not a third world country, but it supports Papua New Guinea. So we supplied them. They had a 40-year-old lathe and needed to make a number of parts to keep planes running. So we supplied them with a lathe at a cost of approximately £10,000. Our most recent project has been to supply a mobile fuel bowser to MAF in Chad, in N'Djamena in Chad. A fuel bowser being a mobile fuel tanker, so that they can, pull this thing up to the aircraft to refuel them. Mainly, this is for refueling with jet fuel. So that cost our club £18,000. Let's go back to fundraising. How did we fundraise for that? Well, we had a very successful race night coming up 2 years ago now. One was planned for last year, but COVID put paid to it. And at our race night, which I held locally, so I got some members throughout Scotland to come and help and got some local people to help, we actually raised £15,000. So some of that was used for another project, and £10,000 went towards this bowser. But what I did was I tried to use all of our club, whatever country they were in, were fascinated by Captain Tom. And maybe you'll know on this screen that the £32 million that Captain Tom raised, the average donation, was £21.38, which absolutely astonishes me. He must have got quite a few big ones, but he was getting £1 here and £5 there. And I was trying to get members. We set up a fundraising page for this within MAF rather than Just Giving. And we asked people to approach friends for small donations. And actually, not many of them did it. I mean, I approached friends. I mean, I got, I think, a total of about £800 of donations from smaller donations here and there. But fundraising is a challenge, particularly when you've got 40 people who are scattered throughout the globe. I'm trying to persuade them to run race nights. I think in California or Switzerland that would go down quite well, but some countries are a bit mystified with the whole concept of fundraising, it would seem. Close connections with any other Rotary clubs? Well, throughout the world, all of our members are in connection with Rotary clubs. The final question I was asked, any pitfalls? Well, to be honest, I really don't think we've found any. Now, there's a couple of members on from St Fittick, so I'm not going to slag St Fittick. Enjoyed it. I was there for how long was I there for? About from 1993 till 2015. So what, 22 years, something like that. Sheena, you're the accountant. You can tell me how many years. I can't think. Anyway, 20 plus years. But I wouldn't go back from this. There's nothing about our club that makes me feel I would like to join another club. Zoom has worked for us, and I guess we're one of the few Rotary clubs that's been able to run business as normal. And I think the rest of the world has been trying to maintain their Rotary connections by using Zoom. But for us, it's worked exceedingly well. We always come on half an hour beforehand. So we meet at 9 o'clock at night. That's the time that kind of works for most time zones. So it's morning cups of tea in New Zealand and Australia, and we can enjoy a glass of wine in Britain and Europe, and in the States, well, they're just thinking about lunch. But it works for us. I haven't seen any pitfalls. We have lost some members along the way, but we've gained way more than we've lost along the way. And that's me responding to Alistair's points. I've talked for quite a long time now. So I would really just stop by saying, is there any questions to this point before we pass over to Martin? Does anybody have any questions? Please fire.
Gordon Hepburn's got his thumb up, but I don't know whether that's to say cheers or...
I think that was up from before, and I just don't think...
Oh, right, okay.
I've got a question. You mentioned you're obviously using Zoom
Yes.
from lockdown onwards. How did you do it prior to that?
No, it's been Zoom from day one.
Okay, then
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we started in 2015, and from our inception, we were advised by Martin that he had tried GoToMeeting, had switched or was in the process of switching to Zoom. We just went straight with Zoom, Gordon, straight with Zoom, and it's worked beautifully.
Okay, thank you.
And Elaine Sarah's got her hand up.
Unmute. You mute. That's it.
I think you can hear me now, hopefully.
Yep.
I just wanted to ask you, could you tell me a little bit more about the affiliated member?
Yes, I mean, affiliate members are people who are already in other Rotary clubs, that they've expressed an interest. We actually used to send out a lane to, we had a number of people who were interested. We would put them on our guest list, and we would always tell them about our meetings. But when we started to fill up with people who were regularly visiting, you don't mind an occasional guest, but folk who just thought, well, let's just visit every time. So I actually suggested to guests, you can, if you wish to receive a link, you're always welcome to ask us for an invitation. But if you want to attend every meeting with and get every link, then why not join us as an affiliate member? And that was when we converted some guests to affiliate members, and one or two of them were people who had been thinking of leaving their existing club, and I heartily discouraged them. I said, no, there is no need to do that. Now, we do have some people who are former Rotarians. We've actually rescued some people back to Rotary, people who have left Rotary because of moving home, because of different reasons. I hate to say it, folks, but sometimes with their own particular clubs, boredom. I mean, we've got an affiliate member who is just in Denmark, who expressed an interest. His club, he said, are failing, and he doesn't want to be the last man standing. Failing, they've still got 50 members, but the average age is 75, and they've lost a sense of direction. So he has made his own decision, knowing fine well he could be in both, but he has decided that he prefers the format of the e-club.
Still, I'm unmuted.
Any other questions?
No hands are raised, Ian.
Right, over to Martin then, I think, is it, Alistair?
Right, so sorry, I'd like to hand over to you now, Martin, to because what you have is probably more typical to what we might have in terms of e-clubs here. So over to you, and thank you for coming along, Martin.
Yeah, I might surprise you actually then, Alistair, with that, because I've got my mask on because I've just got so many people behind me. It's unbelievable, really. So, and it's advertising Rotary. No, that's just okay. Thank you. I'll not take too much time because I know that we're running short of time a little bit. If I can just share my screen for a minute. Right. When we first started, we actually chartered with 33 members in 2014, in May 2014. So we're coming up to 7 years new now. And at the beginning, it was very much the blind leading the blind. I think that's something that we learned. We were the third club to charter in the UK out of 300 in the world. Trying to get help from traditional clubs was actually quite difficult because we didn't know what we were doing, so how would anybody else? So the blind leading the blind took us through sort of 6 months or whatever to get going. We went through the same process as Ian went through, and we helped Ian to charter, and they became our daughter club. We decided after a while that really we should actually not be a traditional club. We should not do traditional unless there is a compelling reason to do so. And the reason I say that is because when I'd actually gone to other clubs in the research, and a lot of the clubs around the world were doing, they were ringing a bell, you had to wear a tie, you had to toast people, and all the sort of stuff that a lot of people were kicking against. It didn't work online. And the reason it didn't work online was quite simple. And whilst it looks like an academic model, it actually was what was one of our mainstays in driving us through how we built our club. If you think of a traditional Rotary Club, you meet at the same time in the same place, and you do that week in, week out. Now, we have some people in our club, like in where I live in Norwich, there's 6 people in our club. Now, we meet from time to time when COVID's not around, and just go for a drink. We don't have a meeting, we just meet up, say, do you fancy a drink or whatever, and then we sometimes chatter about business. We also, at local level, if there's 2 or 3 of you, we can actually get involved with other clubs and actually do projects. We refurbished a scout hut, for instance, in Norwich, just as one example. If you then start to widen your thinking from being in a fixed location to anywhere, which we are, and whether it's live or on demand, and at the moment we're live and we're anywhere, so hence Zoom fits neatly into that block. We don't exclude telephone, we pick up the telephone and talk to members just as easy as we do Zoom conference. Okay, if we come down to these other boxes, different time, same place is where you actually get your social media and maybe your WhatsApp, because you can leave a message and so on. And the final one is to do with speaker recordings. We always record our speakers and we put them online so that members, especially our Japanese, Chinese and South Korean members, can go and look at what speakers have actually said. We decided to actually do a speaker meeting most Wednesdays. So most weeks we actually have a speaker, but as I said earlier, that's not our deemed to be our Rotary meeting. That is a speaker meeting where we get, and we've got some superb speakers. We've had the RI president every year since we started. We've had RI directors and various people from around the world talking to us. Okay, so that's the sort of model that we tend to work on, and it's known as an asynchronous model, which means that, you know, we can't always talk with our Japanese partners, or even in California. I had a meeting with one of our members in California last night, and we had to arrange it for about 6:30 at night, just really to be able to go through things. Okay. So we work on the basis of an intranet. We have an intranet, which those who are not familiar with an intranet is a little bit like Facebook privately. So it's for us privately. So all our members, it's not attached to Facebook at all, but it actually looks like a Facebook offering. We are moving shortly from this, but what is it? It allows us to actually form groups and can connect with each other anytime, anywhere. And we do live broadcasting as well. We can chat and we can share files and work on files together. Okay, we can do polls. There is even a translation for those people who are typing in a foreign language. Okay, and we can do it from any device, anywhere, and at any time. And how we do that, we use it to organise events and fundraisers. We can chat and broadcast to members. We can even video conference from that platform if we wanted. As you can see, that was Ian Risley, and we had members online. We regularly get around, we've got a membership now of 46 people, and we generally get between 35 and 80 people online. This week we had 47 online. Previous week we had 72. So the essence is anywhere, anytime, any place. When I first went around to try to build credibility with traditional clubs, they sort of said, well, what's this strange thing called an e-club? And I always got 3 questions asked me. One was, how do you do fellowship? Second one was, how do you do projects? And third one was, which real club do you belong to? Well, the last one we know is we're chartered. We chartered in the same way, and we pay the same dues as everyone else. In terms of fellowship, I have to say I've been in Rotary now 20-something years, and 16 of those were in a land-based club. I have had more fellowship in the last 7 years than I had in even twice the time I was in a land-based club. I probably connect and communicate and collaborate with 30, 40 people every week in one way or another. So Just a quick rundown of the projects to answer that question. We got raising money for the Giggle Doctors. That was one of the first projects. We did actually physically walk across the dome to do a water project. And two of our members who were up in Scotland, both in Loch Ness, they flew down to walk over the dome with us. I went from Norfolk, about 4 went from Norfolk, and several went from the southern area. We're actually organising at the moment to teach the teacher online training in Gambia. Online training is in vogue at the moment as well, so that gives us some stuff. We actually, in lockdown, we ran a virtual dog show and cat show, and what that did was it led to us being able to, I hire this out now, and in fact, if I quickly show you it, this is the dog show. I won't go through it all in detail, but I'm raising one for the Seroptimists at the moment. They're paying me a fee to hire it for a month, and I put that into our charitable account. Okay, so that's how we raise money in part for our charity account. We're sending Chromebooks to Gambia as well. We've got an affinity with Gambia. And we're actually started a satellite club in Gambia for some of the teachers. Individual members engage in their own projects. If they want to jump out of an aeroplane and raise some money, then they can do that. We've got an online handmade jewellery store where we raise money for foundation and roll out the barrel. We're developing a recipe book at the moment, and we do an online treasure hunt. This year, well, and last year, one of our members has actually organised a climate change conference. It was going to be physical, but obviously because of COVID, it moved to be virtual. And we had 600 people last November join us for a climate change conference. And we're rolling it out again next year, this year in October, but it's going to be more about sustainability in that case. So, as I mentioned earlier, we keep our members engaged and informed 24/7, 365 globally. The time and place model helps our thinking, and I won't show the video because we haven't got time at the moment, but we've got online video meetings, etc., to work virtually for a better future. I'll finish by actually showing you our this is our intranet, or this is the intranet we're going to move to, which is actually Microsoft Teams from Facebook. And as you can see, we've got here welcome to our club. So new members come on there and they go through an induction process. We're looking to see whether we can do the induction using virtual reality as well. So that's going to be an interesting concept. Club stuff. If we go to club stuff, I mentioned speaker recordings from our intranet. They can click on the speaker recording and they can get straight to all of the recordings that we've got. The speaker we had this week was a lady, Dr. Teresa Belton, and she was talking about how you use well-being to actually sustain life on Earth, and that was a really fascinating subject. That was a scholar previously, and you just click on there and you can watch the video. We had people there was a guy from Africa who actually raised money he was a world champion for running up Mount Kilimanjaro. So again, we get speakers of note. The most interesting one recently we've had was the Rotaract Club of Beirut, and they shared with us, it was a group of young people, they shared with us what life was like in a war-torn, corrupt disaster zone, and what really was the case. What happened there was they said that they were short of shoes. And one of our members said, well, funny enough, I was thinking of actually what did I do with the 20 pairs that I've got in my attic. New shoes they were. So he started a campaign called Walk in My Shoes, and we ended up sending 250 pairs of shoes over to the Rotaract Club for them to distribute. A new member in Washington was also doing some life skills work, and she's working with them now continually on how to improve morale. Okay, so again, things come out of meetings in a sort of a way. I think somebody said earlier about Jason Brown. We had Jason Brown, who, if you can get him, he is a fantastic speaker. He'll blow your mind. Okay, so let me get rid of that. And I've mentioned, yeah, our website. We believe that it should be outward facing. So our website is actually outward facing, telling the world what Rotary is about, without any club stuff on it whatsoever. Members can go to the link here to go to their the club to do the normal stuff through the Ribbit template. I'll stop sharing now. A couple of stories. We believe that e-clubs are very flexible. An example was what our president 2 years ago lived in Spain, and he had an accident and slipped down on his pool and he broke his ribs and he was in hospital for quite a while. It didn't stop him from actually running the meetings. He actually ran the meetings from his hospital bed. The most interesting one, I think, would be we had our current president was the chief exec of a hospital complex in Qatar, and on his way back to Qatar at 46,000 feet above Iraq, he came and joined our meeting online from the bar in the aeroplane, and we recruited 2 new members that were actually at the bar with him saying, what's this all about? And so we had a real good chat that way. So we believe that we're only limited by our own imagination, and I think in that respect that is why we differ from traditional clubs, and we don't do traditional unless there's a compelling reason to do so. And I'll end there and open any questions. Hopefully that was short enough.
Thank you, Martin. Absolutely fascinating subject. You know, I'm very much in favour of them. But anyway, over to everybody for questions, please.
Robbie. Has Robbie got his hand up? You need to be muted. Unmute. Okay.
John Milne has his hand up.
Hi, John.
And John, you need to take yourself off silent. There's a £5 fine for using the word unmute. Goes to Foundation.
I have a 2-part question, which maybe could be for both Martin and Ian. Do e-clubs tend to have networking contacts with each other? And if one e-club identified a potential new member, is there a way in which that would go into the network if they could be part of one club rather than another club, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, if there's, we actually don't stand on ceremony about recruitment. We aren't just looking at recruitment for our own clubs. We have actually been responsible for over 180 new members into Rotary because we've helped build other clubs and advised other clubs, not just like with Ian's. We, for instance, we did actually help to establish a new club called the E-Club of Greater Cape Town in South Africa, and they chartered with 100 members, and we helped them to sort of do that. So if we've got people who sometimes it doesn't suit them to actually belong to an e-club, so we'll get in touch with my contacts and anybody else's contacts to be able to place them within a traditional club or another e-club. And our past president last year, some people weren't on when I said it, she moved to Scotland. She actually moved to the Isle of Rum, and she increased the population there to 39 from 35. So and they've got a strong internet there, so she can still keep contacting and keep in touch with us, even from a remote island like I think it used to be called the Forbidden Island, which is fascinating. So that, if that answers that part of it, then John, I don't know whether Ian's got any other comments.
Not really. I mean, I think the point is, John, that if there is somebody interested to join a Rotary e-club, then obviously your first attempt would be to get to join your own Rotary e-club because of there not being geographic constraints. So.
I'm also the chairman of the Rotary Fellowship of e-clubs, and we've got something like 3,000 members. So and there's 300 clubs around the world, so I can communicate with e-clubs anyway around the world in that respect. And we do get people transfer from one e-club to another because they like our ethos, they don't like theirs, or vice versa, you know. Okay, John?
Thank you, that's excellent.
I was just going to take the opportunity. Martin was crowing about the quality of speakers sometimes. One of our members, when he was giving his talk about himself, his job talk, asked if he could involve his wife and a couple of pals. I said, of course you can. His wife is the incoming director, RI director for the West Coast of the US. The other pal who spoke to us was Nikki Scott, who's the incoming director for the UK. And the other speaker was Jennifer Jones, who at that time was involved with Foundation, but is the incoming world president, I think, in 2022. A lovely lady, and quite young. There is a comment I would make if there were ladies not on the screen. I'm not going to make it.
What I would add to that actually is that with regard to speakers, I quite enjoy finding speakers, and we've got a speaker come talking to us in a couple of weeks' time, and I just saw her on the television talking about COVID inoculations. She is actually a virologist, and she was involved in actually helping to develop the vaccine, the Oxford vaccine in the UK. And listening to her story, I'm sure will be fantastic. So I actually quite like sort of doing that as a task. And as you say, we can, if I can get access to them, I can guarantee that I can persuade them to do a talk. We've had Olympic champions, we've had A-list presenters, and it's the one I'm working on at the moment, which is proving a little difficult, is the astronaut. I forgot his name. Tim Peake. Yeah, Tim Peake.
Martin, you'd sell ice to Eskimos.
Okay, any other questions? No.
No, you're free, I think, Martin. So thank you for that. Yeah, Alistair, back to you.
Sorry, Alistair. I should explain my screen behind, because one of the things that shows what e-Rotary can do. This is actually the Toronto Convention, and several e-clubs actually did speak at that convention. I was one of them who spoke, but I spoke from my home in Norwich. So I was doing exactly what I was doing here. Just it was off the wall, and there were speakers and things all around, and they use iPads to go and give to people to ask me questions and things like that. So that was actually quite effective in that respect. And I actually think that now the silos have been broken down with traditional clubs, the world's your oysters too. So, you know, we're going to get a lot of competition here, Ian, with traditional clubs actually going hybrid.
I think so.
Sorry, the space bar wouldn't unmute. I was going to ask Martin to say there's a lot of concerns among established clubs that forming e-clubs might detract from their membership. But surely the way to do it is to have e-clubs, and you can then affiliate to a local club to get involved. So you would really dealing with two clubs.
Yeah.
Presumably quite a number of your members are affiliated to local clubs, or at least some of them will be.
Yeah, we don't affiliate as such, but we do actually work on like passport scheme where we'll work with local clubs if need be. What we have the skills in doing is actually brokering, bringing several clubs together to bring a project into being, and that actually helps quite a lot. But I wrote an article last November in our national Rotary magazine, if anybody hasn't read it, and that was about what will the future after COVID look like for Rotary. And I think it's an opportunity for you all, because you can become hybrid clubs. You don't have to meet every week, and you know, and some people don't like the meal every week, so you can do what you want, you know. We do. You're muted again, Alistair.
Hello.
Oh, sorry, I'll use the word mute, didn't I? No, you've done it again.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm a newbie, so I'm allowed to sound ignorant. What does E stand for here, please?
Basically, electronic, I think, is the sort of general.
It would be like, you get the same derivation, Martha, is like sort of e-commerce. So yes, electronic.
Electronic. Lovely. I've learned, so you have taught me something today.
I think, thank you, Ian, thank you, Martin, for coming along to speak to us. And no doubt we'll be in touch to get some more insight and more information from you. I personally think e-clubs are a great way to get things going in relation to Rotary locally, and whether you do it by area or by district or whatever, but I think the world is our oyster. But we can all mull it over, and I would suggest at the next meeting we decide probably to form a small task force to look at it and to consider how we can develop e-clubs within Area 4 and in fact district. So I presume everybody agrees with that, do they?
Because you're having some trouble getting people to district conferences from the islands, I actually helped Rob, I can't remember his name now. Rob, come back to me, the DG a few years ago, it's about 4 years ago now, Roddy Duncan.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah,
Yes.
Roddy Duncan. And we set up a link so that you could actually have people streamed into the district council meetings. So it was that was one of the early things that we were doing with people and helping them. So, you know, it all works, and we become a closer network.
Thank you, Martin. I'm conscious time is moving on. I do try and keep these to an hour to an hour and a half, the very outside. I think moving on very briefly, are there any updates from district you want to bring up, Ken?
Just a couple. Our regular forums on Monday, and the 6 avenues of service for Rotary will be 7 this year, with environment being added. So there'll be a link coming out, and we've got a joint Scottish and Irish forum this coming Monday with Keep Scotland Beautiful and with somebody from Ireland speaking. So looking forward to that. The links should be out this afternoon or tomorrow for it. And the only other thing, this is really timely, this presentation this afternoon. Alistair's going to find out tomorrow from a membership task force that's been running for 2.5 weeks and presented a report. And e-clubs is certainly one of those things that's on that agenda. So very high on the list, so very topical. Still looking for a chair of membership. Alan Perry, you were very good at getting people to volunteer. Maybe I need to get you to volunteer to find somebody as chair of membership for us. So thank you, Alistair.
What I was going to suggest we think about it, discuss this at the next meeting, how we take this forward. There was discussion about which day we should meet. Anything else anybody wants to mention? No. So thank you very much, Martin and Ian, for explaining to us about e-clubs. I think it's been absolutely a fantastic meeting. I think it's power to the elbow as far as I'm concerned. This is what I want to see the way going forward. So I'm sure we'll be in touch in the not too distant future about it. So thank you, Martin and Ian. Great to have you with us, Lucretia from Rotaract. I know we're going to get Rotaract to speak to our area as well in due course. Anyway, as Ken loves to say, safe journey back to your couch. Stay safe, stay out of mischief, and hopefully at the next meeting we can explore this in more detail and see where we go from here with it. Thank you all and goodbye.